We have July's reading wrap up, and I've got 3 5-stars as well as 3, maybe 4 and above stars. Hello and welcome to another bookish video from me, Joanna, my dog at books. So grab a cuppa, let's get into the stats and then all the reviews. If you don't like the stats, you can skip ahead. Oh, I'm trying out my new gimbal thing and I don't know how to stop it following me. So I better not move too much. First up is the pie chart of moods that I've been reading in the month of July. Apparently, unsurprisingly, is tense, emotional, dark, mysterious, but also informative is quite a strong one this month as well, or last month, since we're in August now. My pace is mostly medium. Page numbers, I got a couple of 500 plus, maybe 2 I think in there. I don't know what ones there were. Oh no, I think I do. I've just looked at my stack. It's 81% fiction, and here are all my genres. Star rating wise, I'm gonna go through what I've read in the order I've read them. But I guarantee at least 3 5-stars, and at least if I add in the 5 stars plus the 4 plus stars, there's maybe 6 or 7 books that I'm highly recommending. The first one I read was Abroad in Japan by Chris Broad. Technically read this for June's Lauren the Book's Patreon book, which I think was travel based, or about, I can't even remember what the options were, but I was away, so didn't finish it in time for the end of June, so I finished it at the start of July. It's a travel book. He's a big YouTuber, is Chris Broad. I didn't realise that. He spent 10 years, I think, in Japan. It was a decent book. Japan is on my absolute bucket list to visit. So I enjoyed it. Didn't love it. Solid 3 stars. Talks about his time. Was it teaching English as a foreign language, maybe? Yeah. And all the different cultural differences between his English. And yeah, it's not bad. If you are interested in the world of Japan, give it a read. I started one of his documentaries. Now I can't remember what it was called. Something about cats in Japan, because in Japan they're obsessed with cats. So I need to give this back to my friend because she lent me it. Next was the very hyped book, The Favourite. And I would highly recommend this book for fans of Taylor Jenkins Reid's type books like Carrie Sotto is Back, which is based on like tennis and stuff. Oh my god. Oh, my wrap up. I've lost the ability to talk. FYI, I am filming this in the midst of when we have Storm Florence hitting Scotland, so my head is all over the place. So The Favourites follows like 2 Olympic type figure skating champions and their relationship. It's kind of more than just professional, against the 2 other kind of strong competitors in their field. It was a good read. It's deemed a love story, so there's more of a love story to this book than I prefer. Overall, maybe I need to stop doing this with my hands, because when I do it, it starts moving again. How do I switch the tracker off permanently? I don't know. Guys, I've got this new thing. I don't even know where it is. See, it's moving. And I think it's because when I hold my hand up, it starts tracking me. Anyway, I'm a professional, clearly. Anyway, The Favourites, pretty decent. Enjoyed it. I think you would love it if you love more of a love story than I do. So recommend it. I give it like 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then I read a non-fiction on audio called Being Mortal, and this is a book about, I think he works in the medical profession. He writes a story about basically understanding our mortality a bit more, about how the medical industry underplays mortality, or maybe appease people by saying like things like like maybe downplaying the fact that people are coming to the end of life, and that how doctors and the Western world deal with end of life care. And I would say it was really poignant. He talks both from a professional point of view as well as personal, as he talks about the failing health of his dad. Given that I am amidst of grief for a close friend, I found this really insightful, and actually it made me really understand that as given that we're all going to die at some point, not to bring the tone down, but we should be way more informed and be allowed to have the information that we really need around our own mortality and end of life care. It's obviously, given the nature of the book, not a book for everyone, but if you're interested in that topic, I'd highly recommend it. I also highly recommend it in audio because it was really well narrated, I think, by the author themselves. Oh, My Friends by Fredrik Backman. Outstanding outstanding 5-star read. Literally, Fredrik Backman can do no wrong in my mind. He writes stories and characters that just wake me up and take me on an emotional roller coaster. In this story, we follow 2 timelines. One set when these young boys, 25 years earlier, meet together during the summer holidays and is a bit of a refuge. And there are a group of boys. One is called the Artist. The others, what's their names? Oh, I can't even remember all their names, right? But they're just seeking refuge together during the summer because their home life is pretty tragic and pretty bruising for them. Then we go into present day, where we have Louisa, who is just out of care. She's 18 and she's obsessed with an artist and an artwork by one of the young boys who features 25 years earlier. Not to go into that in any more detail, but fundamentally, it's how these 2 stories or these 2 timelines and characters intersperse. It's about Louisa in present day dealing with loss and grief of one of her best friends, and also making contact with one of the people from 25 years earlier. I'm trying to not do any spoilers, I've realised. Anyway, just take my word for it. Don't go know any more going in. It's a beautiful story of love, friendship. It's about loss. It's about how art, and if you're not into art, please don't let that put you off. I'm not mega into art. Like, I can enjoy art, but I'm not like an art aficionado in any shape or form. But it's how art or people's expressions of art can say so much more about how we feel when we don't have the words for it. Honestly, this book, I defy you to not let it absolutely emotionally destroy you. I mean, I didn't cry because I have an issue with crying. Not an issue. I would love to cry more, but literally, this is going to be one of my top books of the year. Then I read a Lisa Jewell book, which was The Third Wife. More of I would say this is more of a domestic thriller. This one, it starts off really well, and it's a decent thriller, but it starts in the early hours of a summer morning when a woman steps out in front of a bus. And so it's left to us to figure out, is this a tragic accident or someone dying by suicide? And at the centre of this story is a main character called Adrian, who is married to the victim, his third wife to be exact. And so we end up in a bit of a story about his and also his relationship with bear with, don't know what I'm doing, and his relationship with his first and second wife. It's more domestic drama rather than a dark thriller. Like, it isn't overly twisty, which I've got more used to with some of Lisa Jewell's later books. But it was interesting. Adrian is a very annoying, unlikable character, in my opinion. And you do get to the crux of what happened with this tragic accident. But yeah, 3 stars. Yeah, it was okay. It was okay. Then, because I am interviewing the author Amanda Prowse on the day this comes out, actually, I decided to read one of her books from her back catalogue. So this was on, I think I got it on Libby. I think it is My Husband's Wife. Again, Amanda Prowse writes kind of family dramas, contemporary fiction, and this was quite a nice story about a woman who is, she thinks, happily married, until she discovers that her husband isn't so, and he goes off with another woman. She's left in this world where she feels that her whole identity is about being the wife to this guy, and she's lost a lot of confidence, and you follow this journey with her. I actually really enjoyed it. It's not my usual genre, but I wanted to get familiar with Amanda Prowse's writing. She writes amazing female characters, great family drama, and I'll be able to tell you about her latest book, which I've just finished reading, so it'll be in my August reviews, but I'll review it in one of my weekend reading vlogs. She is great at, her writing style is lovely, and writing really relatable characters, or characters that you can't help but feel emotion towards. So I recommend that if you like family dramas, contemporary fiction. Then I read The Whalebone Theatre by Joanna Quinn for July's Patreon book club with Lauren and the Books. So this is a historical fiction, and it's kind of set in 2 timelines. You've got what felt like Downton Abbey times, and then a bit later as we get into the Second World War, and in amongst it all there's a whale that kind of thingies up on shore. What do you call that when they come up on shore and maybe they're dead? So like they end up with the whalebone, the bones of the whale, and it becomes like a theatre space. Anyway, it's weird sounding, yeah. What I would say is overall it was a bit of a meh read. This is a chonk. So I had to end up trying to finish it in time for book group or Patreon book club on audio. And at some point I went beyond 3 times speed, which meant I was pretty much skimming it and not caring what happened. Now, there were a few people that gave this 5 stars, and the majority was pretty much meh. The first part of the book, which felt like Downton Abbey, I really enjoyed, and I really liked the characters. As it got into the later half of the book, less so. Also, the Whalebone Theatre is absolutely shoehorned into this. It feels like a tokenistic mention of this place of a whalebone that they would use for theatre productions. Like, how that is the title of the book, I have no idea. I'm very picky about historical fiction. I do like it, but this was not for me. I think I gave it 2 stars. Anyway, sad times. The next was a book I read on audio called The Dark Hours. Now this is crime fiction by, I think the author might be Irish. Anyway, the setting of the book is in Ireland, in Cork. So it's got 2 timelines, one in 1994 and one in present day, like 2024. So Julia in 1994 works for the Garda, the Irish police, and she's involved in a serial killer case. Then in 2024, she's retired. She's moved to this little quiet, remote cottage, but all of a sudden, we think that these cases have started again. So that's the premise. It was actually really good on audio. It's a solid crime thriller. I suspect it might be part of a series. To be honest, I'm actually not sure. But it had a good main character. I love women main characters. I love The setting, I loved the 2 timelines. It was solid, a really solid 3-star read. So if you do like crime fiction, definitely check it out. Then I read The Compound, which I was so excited about. I was so excited because it was described as Lord of the Flies meets Love Island, right? I don't even like Love Island, but I get the premise. And you mash that up with Lord of the Flies, it sounded like the absolute perfect book for me. So it is a TV reality show, and all these women are put into this compound and have to undertake like random tasks to be able to get little bits of food or tiny things to help them survive. Except, unlike Love Island, they are pretty much there for full survival, so they don't die. I gave this 2 stars. It just did not deliver. I got bored of the characters. I really didn't care what happened. I'm surprised I didn't DNF it. I think it gets mixed reviews and Goodreads, but again, just because I didn't like it doesn't mean other people won't like it. I didn't feel like the characters had much depth, and at some point I was like, oh, this feels like it's dragging, and I really didn't care, and the fact that I finished it was quite a surprise. I think I kept waiting for something like really dramatic and page turnery to happen, but it just didn't. So, boo. Sorry, I don't want to boo a book, but yeah, not my cup of tea. Talking of tea, I have decaf English breakfast tea with oat milk just now. Next, a 4-star read, and it is book 3 in the Cat and Lock crime thriller AI detective series by Joe Callaghan. So this is book 3, so highly recommend book 1 and 2. In this one, we follow DCS, Cat Frank and her AI police detective, Aidlock. So these 2 characters, amazing characters I love see developing through books 1 and 2, are just off finishing and closing a case in the last book when a headless and handless body turns up. Yeah, this one's dark. But then they find a second victim and they start to worry that the Aston Strangler that I think DCS Detective Constable Sergeant Constable, anyway, Cat Frank has banged up in the prison, and now there's questions. There's also a podcast that's running through this story, a true crime podcast that's questioning Detective Frank's, Cat Frank's. Why am I calling her all different names during this review? Detective Cat Frank, just Cat. They're questioning whether she basically imprisoned the wrong person. And obviously working with Aidlock is looking at whether who's the AI detective, love him or them, love it. They're not, I don't know. And wow, this is dark, twisty, and chef's kisses for the end. Next up is my second 5-star read of the month. It is When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. Cassidy? I don't know why I couldn't say that. This is horror, so to flag that, might not be for everyone. It looks a bit bitey. Obviously it involves kind of a werewolf, but we follow a main character called Jess. Is it Jess? Yes. And she is an actor who works mostly at a diner. She finishes a shift at the diner, comes out and she finds a little 5-year-old. She says, a young boy, 5-year-old, run away hiding in the bushes. And the 5-year-old is terrified of his daddy. Because when his daddy has strong feelings and gets angry, he turns into this, right? Very bitey and creates lots of destruction. However, it is way more than a werewolfy book, like way more. I can't say because it'll be spoilers, but this explores familial relationships, fear, something that isn't a werewolfy. I didn't say that. Yeah, basically stuff's happening. So Jess goes on the run with the young boy, and the police and stuff start following Jess and the young boy because they think she's kidnapped the young boy, and massacre-esque destruction follows them because Wolfie here is following her. His dad is following them, and it's all about change always happening, and how we might be one thing we're not another, and it's about loss and it's about grief. And this is also both terrifying, emotive, and funny because there's moments between Jess and her mum Cookie, who I absolutely adore as a character. There's moments between Jess and the 5-year-old boy. This was outstanding. It is my first Nat Cassidy book. I can say it now, can't I? And it won't be my last. I have Nestling on my wish list now. I've got Mary on my bookshelf, and I want to get Restock, which is a little novella. Highly, highly recommend. I was on an absolute roll because I read this after When the Wolf Comes Home. Had to check why can't I remember? The Lamb by Lucy Rose, which is Lucy Rose's debut. This came out in January, and I pre-ordered it. Had I read it? No, I waited till July, of course. This is very sort of gothic folklore horror. I mean, the main theme is cannibalism, but it is, as I say with many horrors, it's so much more than this. It is beautifully written. It feels like a dark fairy tale. So we follow Margot, who's the narrator of this story. She's 11 and she lives with her mama in the kind of woods in the middle of nowhere. And every so often strays or people will stumble across their little house, and mama will take them in and she will kill them and carry on eating them. And that's kind of how they live their life. Margot goes to school on a little bus. She has the most amazing relationship with the bus driver. He's so sweet to her. She's also got a bestie called Abby, but none of them can ever know about what happens at home. And, their taste for humans. Anyway, all of a sudden, a stray comes along called Eden. Enid, no. Yes, I keep wanting to call her Enid, but it's not, it's Eden. And Margot's mum falls desperately, obsessively in love with Eden, and their life changes. Eden takes on their lifestyle, but Margot becomes more and more distant from her mother. That's all I'm going to say. It's beautifully written. There's jaw-dropping moments in this book. I thought it was such a page turner and shocking. Short chapters. I will read whatever Lucy Rose writes next. I adore it. I think it's also just about to come out in paperback as well. Then I read, where is it? None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell, which is her book that came out in July 2023. I got this one. I took this one to the Lisa Jewell event I went to last month. And she signed it. And this is a brilliant story. It is so twisty. So we follow Alex Summer, who's a well-known podcaster, and she's celebrating her 45th birthday in her local pub when an unassuming woman called Josie meets her as well and is also celebrating her 45th birthday, and she calls them, we must be birthday twins. Josie suddenly becomes a main character in Alex's life. So when Alex is, I think, picking up her kids from school, she bumps into Josie again, and Josie's been listening to Alex's podcast, and she thinks and tells Alex that she thinks her story and her life would be of interest to her and her podcast. Josie's life seems strange and complicated, and let's just say we begin a wild ride of Alex and Josie's relationship and storytelling and unreliable narrators ahoy. Josie is wild and you really are suspect about her, but there's so many more twists than that of when you're trying. Honestly, this was twist after twist. The ending I never saw coming. I read this in audio and highly recommend it. It's got a full production. It's got all the elements of like the sound effects of a podcast, and when Alex is interviewing people in the podcast, both Josie and other people. I don't want to say much more other than None of This Is True is one of my favourite Lisa Jewells so far. I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to getting stuck into her new one, which is, I've got it here, Don't Let Him In. Which I think will be the first time, I'm sure she said at the event, it's the first time that she's written a story where the sort of crazy, unreliable protagonist is a guy, I think. Maybe the clue is in the title, Don't Let Him In. And then, guys, I've only got 3 more left to go. So if you're still here, thank you. Give me a love heart emoji. But I promise that these 3 are worth listening to. Well, maybe not this one so much. It's Our Last Resort by Clémence Michallon. Clémence wrote The Quiet Tenant, which I read either this year or last year. It's a great sort of serial killer kind of, it's about a guy that keeps a woman in the shed in his garden, right? And it's not his first time, let's just say. That was brilliant. I really, really enjoyed it. So I was really excited to get an advanced digital copy of her new one, Our Last Resort, where we follow 2 sort of kind of brother and sister called Frida and, I can't remember the guy's name, Michael? I can't remember. But there's 2 sort of timelines to the story. It's the past when they were raised in a cult and escaped the cult, and present day they're on holiday on a kind of summer kind of exclusive resort and witness the murder of another guest, or not witness the murder, are there when the murder of another guest happens. And so we explore both timelines, and Frida's brother has lots of suspicious stories around him, and therefore suspicions around him and the present day murder of a guest kind of come together. It was okay. It didn't have the same tension and drama and page-turnery vibes as the previous one. It felt a bit long, and it's like just over 300 pages. I felt like more could have, the plot twists, I thought they could have been, there's a lot of red herrings, and I thought the actual ending to the book could have been better than it actually was. It was okay, it was decent, it was a easy page turner, but I didn't love it. Then I read Alice with a Y, Return to Wonderland by Anna James. Now, not only is this an utterly stunning book, right? It's middle grade, and there's elements of this book. I mean, look at this, right? It's so pretty, it's gorgeous. What I would say is that, like, there's a whole quarter of the book at the end, which isn't this book. It's like a bit of Alice in Wonderland and her next book. So that's a wee bit disappointing in the page and number department. So we basically follow Alice with a Y, Allyce. She's the granddaughter of the original Alice, who's her grandmother, obviously. And a letter arrives intended for her gran, but she thinks it's for her, and she ends up on an adventure into Wonderland. As someone that adores Alice in Wonderland, I really enjoyed it. I actually read it in less than 24 hours. There's beautiful characters. I love the premise. I love any time I can spend in the wonders in Wonderland with Alice and all the characters. They're all there as well. I do love Anna James's writing, so I gave it a solid 3.5 stars. I felt like a wee bit done, like not done, what's the word? A wee bit robbed, because I'm trying to find, I mean, it is stunning. Right. That much of the book is like another book. So there's literally, the book itself is like 178 pages, and with it being middle grade, it's quite large type, you know, so still beautiful though. It will have to have a beautiful space on my bookshelf, really. And then, last but not least, I read Read Yourself Happy, How to Use Books to Ease Your Anxiety by Daisy Buchanan, which is a non-fiction book talking about how reading can make you calmer, make you feel courageous, can make you feel free. And here's all the different sections. So the contents, there's read yourself calmer, read yourself secure, read yourself funnier, read it and weep, read yourself sexy, read your relatives, read yourself free, read yourself romantic, reading like a writer, reading beyond your comfort zone and returning to it, reading for courage, reading around the world, and turning the page, which is acknowledgements. I read this and immediately resonated because Daisy Buchanan talks about how she's got generalized anxiety disorder, GAD or GAD, which sounds horrible when you say it like that. And there's already, I was like, oh my God, this is me. And she lives through books and how it can really help her with her anxiety and learn more about. She also has a whole section where, and it literally says there, for readers and worriers everywhere. I mean, I so connected with this book. There's a section which I can't remember what part, but it is reading and grief, and there's reading to escape and reading to give you courage, and there's so many elements about that. The only bit that I didn't resonate so much with was read yourself sexy, why books are a vital part of sex education, how to find the erotic literature that will fire up your imagination. So I was a bit like, the sex education bit, yeah, but given I'm a very much closed door reader, I kind of skipped that bit. But I really, really enjoyed it. And when I was reading it, this makes this author even nicer, right? When I was reading it, I tagged her and I was like, oh, I'm really enjoying this, reading it. And she messaged me and I said, look, I'm really enjoying it. I've just read the chapter about reading and grief, and it really resonated with me because I'm grieving myself for a friend who I lost in June, and she was so nice. She came back to me and she was like, oh, that's I'm really sorry about that. And I wasn't saying it to have like my own pity party or anything, but she came back and said, actually, I've got spare copies of my book, A Pity Party, which I would really like to send to you if you feel it's appropriate this time. I think you might enjoy it. And I was like, oh my God, she's sending me that for free. So whenever it arrives, I'll let you know. But there we go, friends. That was my July reading wrap up on all the books. So many I would recommend to you. So many that were just like pretty diverse range. I appreciate that we all read different books. And although I have go-to genres that I love, I just love reading so eclectically. Now, I'm terrible at having a kind of TBR for the month ahead and sticking to it, but these are books that I'm definitely reading because I'm either on a book tour for it, or I've started it, or I've just read it and I'm going to interview the author. So first up is Ever After by Amanda Prowse. As you can see, I've been tabbing it like crazy because I'm going to interview, first time ever, I'm very excited, and she seems so nice. I've been chatting to her on Instagram DMs, and I'm going to interview her on the day this comes out. So this is like a family drama. It has a lot of drama and contemporary fiction, so that is a definite August book. Then I'm going to read Shred Sisters, look at this cover, by Betsy Lerner. So I'm on a Verve Books who gifted this to me. I'm on their book tour for this. This comes out on the 14th of August, and it's described as spanning 2 decades. Shred Sisters is an intimate and bittersweet story exploring the fierce complexities of sisterhood, mental health, loss and love. So I'm absolutely here for it, but also stunning cover. Then I'm finally starting some of the manga I've treated myself to, and this is, we follow the teenage girl who is basically journeying through the crumbling ruins of civilization because it's doomsday with my dog, and she's exploring this concrete jungle with women's best friend, the ever adorable and quick-witted Shiba Inu Haru. So I'm not far in. It almost seems like little standalone stories because, yeah, there's like, they all have these headlines and then that's pretty much the story. Doesn't feel like a continuous narrative at this moment in time, but we'll see. And also going to be reading Kate Gilronan is got a book called Prepper. This is part of a duology. The other one you won't see up there. It's called Survivalist. Now this is, I'll read you the top bit. Ashley Keller was prepared for the end of the world. She wasn't prepared for Jake Parker to need help surviving it. So Ashley Keller's life is a series of worst case scenarios, literally. Her mother creates them to teach Ashley and her brother survival skills, shooting, foraging, picking locks. The constant training makes Ashley even more an outcast at her school, full of rich kids with an ex-girlfriend who doesn't speak to her anymore, and a major crush, Jake Parker, who doesn't know she exists. So it's young adult with a kind of it's diverse. It's got kind of unconventional love interest, end of the world survival-esque. So absolutely here for it. And thanks to Kate for giving me this book. So those are the ones I'm definitely reading. Is there another one? There is one on my, something to do with fjords. It's my Patreon book club book for Lauren and the Books, and I can't remember the name of it. I also am reading, well, I'm supposed to be rereading The Last Witch of Scotland by Philip someone, but I've read it, so that's my book group book, my kind of in real life but actually still online book group. I've read it, so I'm probably not going to rush to reread it. It's an okay book. I actually quite enjoyed it. Gave it a 3-star, but I did have issues with it being a male writer writing the perspective. Anyway, those are my August books. So let me know what you're planning reading, if you've got any plans for August, or you're just going to go with the flow. And also if I've given you a review of a book that you fancy adding to your TBR. As always, please do like and subscribe if you don't already. I love chatting to you guys in the comments, so keep them coming, and I will see you in another bookish video very, very soon. Cheerio!